Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a book to screen on Season 4 of The Walking Dead, starring Andrew Lincoln, Stephen Yeun, Chandler Riggs, Norman Reedus, Melissa McBride, Lauren Cohan, and David Morrissey. A quick summary of Season 4 of The Walking Dead. It mostly just has to do with prison life with the zombie apocalypse survivors. Apparently it's been months since the events of Season 3 and the survivors have had no incidents in that time. But it's The Walking Dead, all hell's gonna break loose, and of course everything goes wrong. There's a sickness that hits the prison, and a lot of people start dying or getting sick. There's also the issue of the governor who has not been seen in these last several months. And the zombies just keep on piling up on that fence. Before I get going with my thoughts on the season, I will say that there's probably going to be a lot of spoilers in this. Spoilers for both the show, Season 4, as well as the graphic novels. More specifically, Compendium number 1, because that's as far as I got, and that was issues 1 through 48. So if you've not seen the show up till this point, or if you've not made it past issue 48, then you may not want to watch this perhaps. So my overall impressions of Season 4, I thought Season 4 was a fantastic season. I know a lot of people have not really liked this season and thought it was kind of disappointing and boring, but I personally loved every episode for the most part. There may have been slower episodes, but I think they were still enjoyable episodes. And I liked this constant of the prison this season. I like seeing these moments of just everyone being normal. You know, you have Rick who's farming, and then you get to see the people just in that environment and just living in the cells, making it their home. So prison life is actually not all that bad. So since this is a book to screen, I'm going to do a bit of some comparison between the graphic novels versus the show. Like I said, there's all of this story going on with prison life and how the survivors are coping with the prison and dealing with everything. And in the graphic novels, I do not remember all of this joyousness, if you can even call it that, going on. There was always something horrible going on. It never seemed like they had a moment of relaxation in the graphic novels. And for another thing, there's no sickness going on. That's a big part of the first half of Season 4, is this big, huge sickness that sweeps the prison. First, some pigs die, and then this one boy, he dies in the shower. And as you know, when the humans die, they still carry the virus inside them, and so even when they die, they don't just die, they become zombies. So, of course, this guy, he dies in the shower, and he's roaming around, and he starts up something as a zombie, obviously, and causes chaos. And I really liked this whole plot of the sickness, because I've always wondered, well, what do you do in a zombie apocalypse if there's like mass sickness going on, like a plague of sorts, which is kind of what it was. And there's nothing you can do about it, nothing you can do to cure people. Because obviously it's been a good year or so that the apocalypse has been going on, and all the drugstores and hospitals have been raided, and the medicine is pretty much all gone. So what do you use to cure people? Also, another big difference is that Carol is still around. In the graphic novels, Carol, she barely even makes it through 48 issues. I can't even remember how long she goes, but Carol's like this insane just woman, and I don't even know. She had some issues in the graphic novels, and she was so annoying. I remember just not liking Carol at all. I like in the show that Carol is such a badass, and you know, at the beginning of the show, back in Season 1, you know, she's very timid and kind of shy, and she lets her husband control her. And I like that as the show progresses, that she just gets more badass as it progresses. And she begins to develop her own sense of self. And so I like in the show that Carol is taking action into her own hands, because in the meantime, Rick's not really doing anything. Rick just wants to farm and live in peace in the prison. So I like that Carol's taking action and teaching all the young people how to use knives and guns and just various other weapons. So yeah, compared to the graphic novels, Carol is much more in command and in charge and more useful, because she was absolutely of no use in the graphic novels. And speaking of Carol, I really loved a lot of the plot surrounding Carol this season. She ends up killing a couple of people for reasons, because she thinks it's for the greater good, which I agreed with her. And when Rick finds out about this, he banishes her for his own reasons, which I'm still not quite sure what they were technically, but he banishes her. And then she pops back up later, and there's some further great plot there with her, especially with Lizzie and Mika. So yeah, one of my favorite characters this season was probably Carol. Another big arc this season was this semi-humanizing of the governor, if you can even call it that. I'm not quite sure what word to use with the governor. After the incident with the virus going on, once everyone was healed up, the show shifted to like 3 episodes that were pretty much nothing but the governor and what he's been up to since the end of season 3. Guys, you all may hate me, but I personally really like the governor. I love villains, even when they're just horrible people. I still love villains because they're so interesting to watch, and I love watching that psychology of them. And the governor is no different. The governor has some serious issues, and he's just a maniac, and I really liked seeing David Morrissey play with that. Because in the graphic novels, you know, I had absolutely no feelings for the governor. When the governor died in the graphic novels, I was like, thank you, Jesus, I hated that man. He was so disgusting and cruel and sexist, and oh, it's just so horrible. And there's just no character development with him in the graphic novels. I feel he's just kind of a very one-dimensional villain, and just kind of a stereotypical villain in some ways. And I like in the show that David Morrissey really brings a lot more depth to the governor, and he's more than just a villain, I think. You kind of get to see other sides of him that most people don't get to see. And you know, the great thing about the governor, you know that saying that evil people don't see themselves as evil, they see themselves as the good guys? That's very much the governor's motto. He doesn't see himself as the bad guy. He sees Rick and everyone else as the bad guys, and the people who are ruining his own story. So I loved those 2 or 3 episodes that strongly focused on him. The plots were so great. It was great to kind of get away from the prison and those characters and kind of just see another character, their day-to-day life. So another big event that happens in the graphic novels is when the governor pretty much takes over the prison, and that whole episode 8, I believe, was pretty much exactly like the graphic novel. I really loved it. You have the governor coming in with all of these people that he's collected who are on his side and think they're doing good, and he comes in on the tank, and I love that. It was kind of like shot by shot from the graphic novel with the governor on the tank. It was just so cool. And the events kind of just play out the same way. One of the big differences, though, with episode 8 compared to the graphic novel was the fact that in the graphic novel it is Tyrese who is the one who is beheaded, whereas in the show it is Herschel who is beheaded. And I actually really liked that twist, because in the graphic novels Tyrese pretty much shows up very, very early, and you get a connection with him early on. And so in the graphic novels, Tyrese's death when he gets beheaded, that is actually really sad. I remember being really shocked when I saw his head flying across the page. And in the show, Tyrese just popped up in season 3, and he's not really been someone they've shown a lot of. So I liked that it was Herschel who got beheaded instead, because Herschel's been around since season 2, he's been a stronger presence, and plus they had all of that stuff going on with the prison sickness, and him being there to help everyone, even though he was at risk of dying himself and catching the virus. So I liked that switch of Herschel instead of using Tyrese, because I think that was much more emotional. In the graphic novels, Lori is still alive at this point. She didn't die in childbirth like she did in season 3. They still have this scene with baby Judith, Rick's daughter, that Rick thinks Judith has been killed, And so that's kind of left up in the air until the season comes back after the mid-season finale, and then you realize that Judith is not dead. I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't kill Judith like they did in the graphic novel. I think that was another really interesting twist and something they can use and further. Because I remember reading the graphic novel and thinking, wow, that went a little too far killing an innocent baby like that. Also, in the graphic novel, I believe Rick and the Governor have a fight, don't they? I can't remember if Rick and the Governor have a big old full-blown fight, but either way, I like that the graphic novel, Lily is the one who kills the Governor, and in the show, the Governor, he gets beat up by Rick first. They brutally beat each other up, and then Michonne stabs him just straight through his body. But then I still like that they managed to squeeze Lily in there, and that Lily's the one who pretty much kind of just does him in. So a lot of people kind of get their go at the Governor, which was cool. I wish that Maggie could have had a go at him though, and like, I don't know, punched him at least. So yeah, basically the season, I really enjoyed the season. It's divided up into pretty much 5 parts. You have the first part with kind of just prison life, and then that moves into this whole sickness scenario. And then you get these episodes focused on the Governor, and then after that, the whole group is split up, and there's like 4 or 5 different groups running around. So you have this whole group separation going on after they've all been together for this whole time. And then the very final episode, you're introduced to Terminus, and I want to know what the hell Terminus is, you guys. I've not read past issue 48, so I have absolutely no idea what to expect. I'm going to be reading Compendium number 2 over the summer in anticipation for season 5, so hopefully I'll get all my answers. But yeah, going back to the group separation, everyone's been together for all of these seasons, and I like that finally everyone's kind of split up, and they're all split up with people that you wouldn't typically think they'd be kind of separated with. For instance, Daryl is with Beth, and I found that to be one of the most interesting pairings because they're 2 totally different people, and those were actually some of my favorite episodes. My favorite episodes after those episodes with the Governor. I really liked those episodes that focused strongly on Beth and Daryl. I know a lot of people hate Beth, but I was really warming up to Beth in those episodes, and I really liked her relationship with Daryl. I kind of want to ship Daryl, Beth. I think that might be a little inappropriate because of their ages, but if I can't ship them, then I'd still like to think of them as having like a brother-sister relationship. Besides, I kind of ship Daryl and Carol. So besides Daryl and Beth, you have Tyrese, who is running around with baby Judith, who didn't die, and he's also with Lizzie and Mika, the crazy insane girls, and then Carol pops up and out of her banishment. So remember, if you watch the season, Carol, thinking she was doing the right thing for the good of the group, she killed 2 people, and one of those people was Tyrese's girlfriend. And the thing is, Rick banished Carol and never told Tyrese that Carol was the one who killed his girlfriend. So this is a very interesting pairing too between Tyrese and Carol that was really interesting, because Tyrese was really grateful to see Carol there so she could help take care of the kids. But then Carol was like, does he know that I killed his girlfriend? So there's all of that going on. And probably my favorite episode of the season. I was going to say that my favorite episode of the season was the prison invasion with the Governor. I was going to point that out as my number 1 favorite episode of the season, but it was this one episode near the end of the season that really got to me, and it was the episode where Lizzie and Mika they're just not there in the head, and Lizzie kills Mika because she wants to turn her into a zombie, and she's about to kill baby Judith, and then Carol has to kill Lizzie. Oh my god. That episode, I had to go grab a tissue, you guys. That was my favorite episode of the season, by far, I think. Then probably followed by the Governor's invasion of the prison, and then probably that Daryl and Beth episode, I'd have to say. But yeah, the episode where Carol has to kill poor Lizzie. Did anyone else cry? Oh my god, I was a mess. I was seriously kind of depressed, and I remember getting on forums the next day and people referring to that episode as the Red Wedding version of The Walking Dead. So then, besides the Daryl, Beth, and Tyrese Carol group, then there's also Rick, Michonne, and Carl, and that was a really great matchup as well. Not as far-reaching as the other ones. Rick, I seriously thought Rick was gonna die in that first episode after the mid-season finale. I thought they were gonna do a big old twist and kill his character. He was just so out of it and miserable, and he just thinks that baby Judith is dead. And plus the prison's gone. His mode of thinking, you know, he wanted to live in the prison normally and live a normal life, and that's all taken away from him. And plus Carl is acting like a angsty teenager. He's mad at his dad. He just has some teenage issues. And I like that episode when he's just kind of going off and he's trying to find stuff. He gets that like can of pudding. And then I like when Michonne finally joins the group. Michonne and Carl have this really great brother-sister relationship. I just thought it was so cute. And I'm wondering if Michonne and Rick are gonna hook up. That would be really cool. I almost forgot about Glenn and Maggie. They're in two totally separate groups as well, and I really liked those individual stories too. Glenn's with this girl named Tara, who was part of the governor's people, and they just kind of have this whole adventure going on, and then they run into these three other people named Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene, and they're off to like Washington DC, I think it is, because apparently this Eugene guy knows what caused the zombie apocalypse and he thinks he can fix it or something like that. But I really loved that addition of those three new characters. It was kind of some fresh air to the show. And then in the meantime, Maggie's off with Sasha and Bob, and she's kind of going a little nuts because she wants to reunite with Glenn. And it's kind of during all of this we start getting these hints about Terminus, that it's a sanctuary for all, and if you go there you'll be safe. And so there's this presence of Terminus, and what is it? Who's there? Is it another Woodbury? Is it really a sanctuary? So we get to the second to the last episode, and Glenn and Maggie are reunited in that second to last episode, and they're with Eugene and Rosita and Abraham, along with Sasha and Bob. So we have that set of characters reunited, and they all meet up at Terminus. And this lady's like, hey, welcome, have a plate of food, and that's all we see of them. So then basically the season finale was Rick, Carl, and Michonne, and they finally meet back up with Daryl, who's been with these crazy biker dudes who, oh lord, they were scary. And then they all make their way to Terminus, and so we have everybody at Terminus in the season finale, and Terminus is very interesting. I want to know what the hell Terminus is, you guys. It looks like a safe place, but I guess it's not, because they all got herded into like this cattle car of some sort. I did like the season finale, but the season finale didn't really feel like season finale material to me. I really felt like the governor's invasion of the prison felt more like a season finale, because there's so much going on. It was so emotional, and there's just so many highs to it. And that would have been really cool if that could have been the finale instead, because the season finale with Terminus, that felt more like a mid-season finale, like just a little mini cliffhanger, and then just gotta wait a couple months. But instead we gotta wait like 6 months. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I feel like I'm leaving a lot out. There was a lot that happened this season. Like I said, you had prison life, and this sickness, and the governor, and the whole group is split up, and then this whole presence of Terminus, and there's just so much, and so much to talk about. So if you've seen the season and you want to talk more in depth with me, please just leave comments down below, or even just send me a private message and we can just talk back and forth. Because I feel like I'm leaving so much out. I mean, I didn't even mention the whole thing of poor Beth getting kidnapped. And I didn't even get to talk about Daryl that much. I could have done a whole video just talking about Daryl. So what did you guys think of this season? Just tell me. Are you looking forward to season 5? How far have you guys made it into the comics, or have you not started them? So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you liked this book to screen, you might like these book to screens. Bye guys.